The prison you built yourself. You are more imprisoned than you think. Not by bars, not by chains, but by the thoughts you never challenged. 2,000 years ago, Seneca sat in his Roman villa, surrounded by wealth, privilege, and power. Yet he warned, "You act like mortals in all that you fear and like immortals in all that you desire." He saw something in us, a sickness. The modern mind would call it burnout, anxiety, doom scrolling. But Seneca had a sharper word: slavery. Slavery to impulse, slavery to distraction, slavery to everything, except the one thing you can control: your mind. This is not motivational fluff. It's survival. Let's walk with Seneca. Imagine this. You check your phone 96 times a day. You scroll past 300 faces. You compare yourself to 17 strangers before breakfast. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." You are starving, not for food, not for money, but for silence, for sovereignty, for something real. Seneca believed your most valuable asset was time. He called it the only truly non-renewable resource. Not Bitcoin, not gold, time. Yet you trade it for gossip, resentment, attention from people who don't even know you exist. He wrote, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful." Ask yourself this. Where did your last 3 hours go? What owned your mind this morning? Who do you think you are when no one's watching? Because here's the punchline. You don't need to escape the system. You need to escape your own illusion. Seneca was no monk. He was rich. He was a politician. He was sentenced to death for being too wise. And still he smiled. Because the Stoic doesn't cling. The Stoic doesn't need the world to be fair. He wrote, "He who fears death will never do anything worth a man who is alive." Let that sink in. You want meaning? Stop chasing more. Seneca taught that the path to strength is subtraction, less comparison, less rage, less needing to be liked, more stillness, more intention, more moments where you realize, I am enough, right here, right now. This world will pull you apart if you let it. Algorithms, outrage, endless noise. But Seneca whispers across centuries, begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. Today is a new life. So breathe, turn off the feed, and remember, you were born free. You just forgot. The lie of one day. One day. You whisper it to yourself like a promise, but Seneca would call it a lie. He said, "Life is long if you know how to use it." The truth. You've already spent years waiting to feel ready, waiting to be validated, waiting for the right time that never comes. Seneca believed procrastination is not laziness. It's a form of arrogance, because it assumes you'll have more time. But he warned, you are dying every day. Not metaphorically, not spiritually. Literally, every breath is a withdrawal from your life account. And you have no idea what your balance is. You think you're playing it safe by waiting. But safety is the slowest death of all. Let's be honest. You've wasted time worrying about people who don't think about you. You fantasized about a future you won't earn because your present is passive. You've said someday more times than you've said now. Seneca saw this in Rome, in slaves and senators, in emperors and peasants, the disease of delay. He said, "The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." If your mind is always in the future, you are already a ghost. Seneca would ask, where is your life? If not here, if not now, then when? How many books are you planning to read? How many dreams are you saving for later? How many emotions are you repressing because it's not the right time to feel them? You are not conserving time. You are abandoning it. Seneca didn't fear death because he didn't fear life. He faced both equally. He said, "You live as if you were destined to live forever. Your own frailty never occurs to you. You don't notice how much time has already passed, but squander it as though you had a full and overflowing supply. Think of all the versions of you that never lived. The artist, the lover, the fearless one who spoke their truth. You buried them in delay. You killed them with one day. But Seneca offers a choice, not a comfortable one, a powerful one. Live with urgency. Live with purpose. Live like a warrior who knows he might die at dawn. And that warrior, that's you, if you decide. Today isn't just another day on the calendar. It's a chance to start, to speak, to act, to finish. Seneca said, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." You don't need more time. You need to use what's already yours. Seneca versus anxiety, the battle inside you. You are not anxious because life is hard. You are anxious because your mind won't stop lying to you. Seneca knew this. 2,000 years ago, before the words mental health, stress disorder, or burnout ever existed, he diagnosed the core illness of the human soul, the inability to live in the present moment. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Let that sink in. Anxiety is not rooted in what's happening. It's rooted in what might happen. You panic over things that haven't occurred. You obsess over scenarios that may never unfold. You torture yourself with fears that are not real. And Seneca called that exactly what it is. Self-inflicted. You are your own executioner. He wrote, "Some things torment us more than they should. Some torment us before they should. And some torment us when they should not torment us at all. We are more often frightened than hurt." Ask yourself this: how many of your problems are real, and how many are just shadows? You rehearse tragedy in your head and call it preparation. You spiral in dread and call it being responsible. You panic scroll and call it staying informed. But Seneca would say, "You're not protecting your peace. You're poisoning it." He didn't need a therapist to know that the mind is where most suffering begins and where it must be ended. So what was his solution? First, stop assuming danger. Seneca said, "There are more things likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more in imagination than in reality." It's not the event that breaks you. It's your attachment to it, your obsession with outcomes, your unwillingness to release what you can't control. He believed that true strength comes from one thing: clarity, and anxiety clouds clarity. You must learn to distinguish between what is within your power and what is not. He wrote, "Fate leads the willing, and drags the unwilling. The anxious mind resists reality. It wants certainty in an uncertain world. It wants guarantees where there are none. It wants perfect safety. And Seneca knew that was impossible. So what did he do? He practiced letting go. He trained himself to expect change, to expect loss, to welcome discomfort as proof that he was alive. He stripped away excess. He simplified his life. He spent time in silence. And he never let fear dictate his decisions. You think your anxiety is a personal curse? Seneca knew it was a universal flaw. But flaws can be shaped. Suffering can be forged into something useful. The Stoic doesn't pretend emotions don't exist. The Stoic learns how to rule them. That's the difference. You don't need to kill your feelings. You need to stop obeying them. Seneca said, if you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. You don't need a vacation. You need a transformation. And it begins with taking your thoughts off autopilot. He urged people to write their fears down, to examine them, to shrink them by exposing them to daylight. Try it. Take your biggest fear and write down what would actually happen if it came true. Go step by step. Strip away the drama. Strip away the panic. You'll notice something. The thing you fear is not fatal. The thing you fear is survivable. The thing you fear is smaller than you imagined. Seneca knew that clarity is the antidote to fear, and action is the antidote to helplessness. You sit frozen in anxiety, hoping the storm will pass. But Seneca would say, walk through it. Take the step. Make the call. Face the moment. Because you're not dying from fear. You're drowning in delay. Seneca said, a man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. Stop suffering twice. Once in the event, once in your mind. Let it go. Let it be. Let it move through you instead of staying trapped inside. You don't need a new life. You need a new relationship with the one you already have. And that starts here. Now with breath, with stillness, with refusing to believe every single thought that shouts inside your skull. You are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them. And the moment you remember that, you win. Seneca didn't just survive anxiety. He transcended it. And you can too. You've been told to chase success. But no one ever asked if success was a trap. Seneca did. He didn't care how much gold you owned, how many followers you had, or how loud the crowd cheered for you. He cared about one thing. Did you own your time? Did you own your mind? Or did something else own you? He wrote, you are scared of dying, and tell me, is the kind of life you led really any different than being dead? That's not poetry. That's diagnosis. You call it ambition. Seneca called it slavery. Slavery to recognition, slavery to lifestyle, slavery to reputation. He said, show me a man who is not a slave. Not a slave to a master, but to expectations, to illusions, to the myth of more. You chase numbers, you chase clout, you chase a version of success you never even questioned. And in that chase, you lose everything real. You lose your presence, you lose your freedom, you lose yourself. Seneca saw it in Rome. Senators with power, but no peace. Generals with glory, but no gratitude. Businessmen with money, but no meaning. He said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." Think about that. You may be rich in material, but poor in peace. You may be envied by others, but tormented within. You may be succeeding, and yet feel like a failure every morning. Why? Because success, as they define it, is endless. It's a mountain with no summit. You climb and climb and climb, and when you finally reach what you thought was the top, you just find another ladder. Seneca would call this a sickness, a life spent chasing applause from the world instead of alignment with yourself. He said, "Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are." You've been told to build an empire. Seneca would tell you to build a soul. You've been told to grind and hustle and sacrifice. Seneca would ask, sacrifice for what? For whom? What are you really trying to prove? And to who? What if you're still trying to impress someone from your past who doesn't even remember your name? What if you're addicted to the chase because you're too afraid to be still? Because stillness would force you to face who you actually are, beneath the noise? Seneca's answer wasn't more. It was less. Less obsession. Less attachment. Less pretending. He believed success was simple. You wake up with clarity. You do your work without vanity. You speak with honesty. You give without expectation. You go to sleep without regret. That's it. No likes, no followers, no audience. Just integrity. Just peace. But the world has trained you to want more. It whispers, accumulate, acquire, display. And if you refuse, it says you're falling behind. But behind what? Behind whom? Behind a finish line that doesn't even exist? Seneca said, "A man is as wretched as he has convinced himself he is." So maybe you're not actually failing. Maybe you've just been using the wrong scoreboard. You want to be admired. Why? To feel valuable? Seneca would say, "You already are, not because of your title, not because of your output, but because you're a conscious being, alive in a single, fleeting moment of time. And that is rare. That is enough. The only kind of success that matters is internal. Do you act with courage? Do you speak your truth? Do you leave others better than you found them? Then you've already won. Everything else is noise." Seneca warned, "Life is long if you know how to use it. Don't waste it trying to win a game you never chose. Write your own definition, live your own values, reclaim your own time. Because in the end, success is not something you chase, it's something you define. And if you don't define it, someone else will. You are too comfortable, and it's destroying you. Comfort makes you passive. It dulls your instincts. It softens your edge. Seneca knew this long before modern luxury existed. He watched the elite in Rome crumble under their own convenience. Soft food, soft beds, soft lives. But inside, chaos. He wrote, "Set aside now and then a number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, 'Is this the condition I feared?' You are terrified of discomfort. But discomfort is how you remember you're alive. You fear inconvenience. You avoid silence. You medicate boredom. The Stoics didn't just tolerate discomfort, they rehearsed it. They stripped life down on purpose. To test their grip on truth, to remember what mattered. Seneca didn't do this for drama. He did it for dominance of the mind over the world. You've been conditioned to chase comfort at all costs. Fast food, instant delivery, infinite scrolling. No friction, no silence, no struggle. But what has it made you? Seneca would say, fragile. You break when reality doesn't bend. You panic when you're hungry. You fall apart when things don't go your way. He saw comfort as a cage, a velvet prison. He wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." You are not weak because life is hard. You are weak because you've been shielded from hard things for too long. If you want peace, don't chase comfort. Chase capacity, the ability to endure, to wait, to restrain, to let the storm pass without begging it to stop. That's what Stoicism trains. Not numbness, strength. Try it. Wake up early on purpose. Skip the meal. Take the cold shower. Delete the app. Sit in silence. Walk without headphones. Say no to your cravings. Let discomfort visit and stay. Not because you hate yourself, but because you love who you're becoming. Seneca would argue, if you've never gone without, then you don't truly own what you have. If you've never faced hunger, you can't appreciate fullness. If you've never been alone, you don't know what presence is. If you've never been without your comforts, then your comforts own you. He wrote, "A man who has accustomed himself to the worst has no need to worry about the best." So strip it down, find the edge of yourself, and then lean into it. Because only in discomfort do you see what remains when all else is gone. Seneca's life was not easy. He was exiled. He was nearly assassinated. And still, he was calm. Because he had practiced death 1,000 times in his mind. He had practiced loss. He had practiced hunger. He had practiced having nothing. So when life took it all away, he didn't flinch. You want freedom? Then build a mind that cannot be stolen. Not by pain, not by loss, not by a world addicted to comfort. The soft life is a lie. The strong life is simple: need less, want less, fear less. Own your discomfort, and no one will ever own you again.